pass that on in case some of you who's got a membership and wanting to declare it. You don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to, you can. Right, Councillor Baildon.
Mr Mayor, I recognise that my involvement with the Gold Coast Social Society in that I'm a patron and life member may be taken as a real or perceived conflict of interest in the matter before the meeting, but I've considered my position and am firmly of the opinion that I can participate in the debate and vote on this matter in the public interest. My motion is that officers liaise with the Gold Coast Turf Club on securing funding in cash and in kind for the filling of the Borrow Pit, Gold Market Road, to maximise its utilisation for future public open green space, horse exercising and overflow car parking for precinct events. So moved.
Seconder, Councillor Vorster. Councillor Tozer.
I'll just make a declaration that I seem to recall that in light of what's been proposed today and what I had read, this seems to be a bit different. So I'll note that I was offered honorary membership of the Gold Coast Turf Club and did not refuse it, but I haven't used it. But I understand that might be perceived as a conflict of interest, but I'll stay in the room and vote on the matter in the public interest.
Okay. Right. Anyone else? I'll go to Councillor Baildon. Speak for the motion.
Pass some of these on. Thank you, Mr Mayor. The Gold Coast Show Society is the oldest community event within the Gold Coast. It celebrates 111 years in 2017. It's been held in 4 locations during this period. Firstly, at Woodruff Park in Southport, which was the original city square. And I still remember the bandstand that was sitting there in the middle of it for many, many years. It's the area just behind the Southport, the now Southport RSL. Then it was moved to Owen Park in Queen Street in Southport. Then it was moved to Parklands in Southport. That was on the because of the relocation and the closing of the Southport school within Southport itself, and it was moved out to Owen Park. It's currently now, of course, shifted and is now currently at the Gold Coast Turf Club. Originally, when it was out at Parklands, there were 2 actual areas where was the greyhound racing and also the trots, or as they were known in those days. Both of those no longer exist, and as we know that the area was taken over for the improvements, particularly with regard to the coming of the major event games. The car parking facilities at the Turf Club during that time, in the training track or Ken Russell Court, there was 1,100 car parks. At that time we had 4,500 car parks at Parklands and in that vicinity. With the relocation to the Turf Club, we now have on the training track at Ken Russell Court 1,100 car parks. On Bob L's property, which is just adjacent to the Turf Club again, there's 150 car parks available there at this time. And there's also the Kuros land where there's 420 car parks. Both of those, the latter 2 that I mentioned, are on private property, and I do believe that one of them is to be developed very shortly. Traffic management plan for the Turf Club now, or for the Show Society, can cost as much as $48,000. We didn't have that expense at all when it was over at Parklands. The Gold Coast Show Society is conducted for all residents of the city, not just for those nearby in areas of the Turf Club. It must be understood that all levels of government support the relocation of the Show Society to the Turf Club, and in particular the Gold Coast City Council. Show attendees consist of mainly of families, many of whom have preschool children with babies in prams, along with the very elderly, and they want to park as close to the grounds as possible and not have to travel by public transport. Filling the borrow pit will create additional 1,000 car parks for the show and other events at the particular turf club. I've passed across some of the programs of some of the past programs of the turf club, of the show society, and in the various categories. For example, just in the horse events, there were 516 entries. I think it was in 2009. But we have other entries as well, where people like to display their scones, their sponge cakes, tarts, pies, the various craft exhibits, the poultry, or the chooks as we call them, or we used to call them. There's the birds, the goats, the dogs, they're all there. There's the art, there's the pottery, the sculpture, the bark paintings, the oil paintings, the porcelain, the ceramics, the photography, the monochrome and creative print, calligraphy, painting on oil acrylic, collage, weaving, quilting, flower arrangement, and of course orchids. And the list goes on, and some of you have seen them. As now I turn my attention now to the borrow pit, it has been polluted for many, many years with chemicals and waste from the stables. And I've seen that myself personally, where the waste sawdust has been thrown into this borrow pit. The chemicals that are used very often are thrown in there. And we know from the reports that it's polluted. It may not be as bad as it used to be, but some would say it should be kept for the birds. I'd like to know how many birds have died from drinking the water that's in there. How long did these birds suffer before they died? Was it a few days, a few weeks, or a month? The water hole or borrow pit is unfenced with very, very steep sides. The new housing in the area really worries me because if kids drift across, and you can see it there, it's that triangle, the cursor is on it now. If the kids come across from those new developed areas just over the canal there, the sides of that borrow pit are quite steep, and goodness knows what could happen if they fall in and can't climb out. We're elected representatives and are in a position of trusted to look after the needs of our community today. Let's live up to that trust. Thank you.